Hey guys, just wanted to give an update on what I've been playing this season. I've been playing a crossbow Titan, explosive shot, explosive grenade with heavy stun and new armor mechanics. I've played this in the past and I got quite a few buffs and then some items that really enable playstyle. Um, yeah, so I'll dive into a map and show it to you and then explain it afterwards a little bit. I'm sure this will get asked. This is the Atlas strat. It's basically max difficulty. Minus this, I can't seem. I think my Atlas is bugged. I can't get these to be unlocked. But I don't think that would add any more difficulty, anyways. But yeah, so the main changes were mostly indirect buffs, um, but it combined it added up quite a bit. Where's the boss at? Get rid of the shrine, so no one complains that that's what's making it good. So the combo is very straightforward. You essentially wait to stun them, and then you implode them. And there's the mods, in case anyone's asking. No monster life, but a little bit some difficult stuff there. Alright, so in general, what happened this patch was the passive tree got much more densely packed. And what that alludes to is Titan's small node here becomes way more efficient because of how densely packed the nodes are, which is a great upside. Armor got really great at mitigating elemental damage, so the build doesn't have to do a bunch of weird bullshit on this side of the tree to try to solve defenses. It's way more straightforward and makes a lot more sense. And then some new items got introduced, which I will cover in a second. And also being able to use the same support gems across multiple abilities is a huge deal, because Explosive Grenade is insane at single target, and especially the way we're utilizing it, which is mostly this gem, so it goes off twice, because I don't really care about the cooldown rate, because I'm just laying them down for the heavy stun and then just detonating them. So it's a lot of damage. Explosive shot or explosive grenade is currently 1600 attack damage per grenade, and then some new supports got introduced. This one allows you to ignore fire res. This one's also new, then being able to use scatter shot. And regarding items, this is hyper late game, but these are the two major things. These gloves allow you to generate rage passively, with the downside of -5 life regen per second, which ties into the helm. So you get this helmet and you get these surrounded nodes. So right here's 2.5% life regen, 0.5. There's some more somewhere else that I have. And then the armor, and then the socket. So you can over sustain the degen. You don't need the runes and the boots. These can be whatever. It just helps a little bit, but yeah, you can out sustain that. So the gloves are essentially 55% more damage. So if you take off the gloves, and I think if I attack, yeah, I lose all my rage. Yeah, so roughly about 55% damage. So it was a big upgrade. And then the other thing is crafting a crossbow became significantly easier. And also, beforehand, you really wanted dyad crossbow because there was no single target solution, so you just tried to fit as many bolts in as possible. Now you just really want grenades for single target, and then just explosive shot is pure single or pure AoE. I think that covers the highlights of the changes. Some other tech that's in the build currently is, so I found out that you can break armor with heavy stunning without having any jazz in there trying to like break physical damage based off so much damage or armor break support. You can just use this, so every time you heavy stun an enemy, you break 50% of their armor, and then if you get 100% increased armor break in the tree or from other sources, you fully break anything's armor on heavy stunning them, which is a ton of free utility. It allows you to run scavenge plating full time. And also on explosive shot for clearing, you get the use armor explosion, which just makes the build feel insanely good for clear. Also, some other tech was explosive shot feels insanely better with pierce, which doesn't make sense to why it feels so much better, but it does. It seems to increase the single target damage a bit too, which I'm still not really sure what's happening. To get pierce, at first I was using the support gem until I got some gear catered around it, but I am anointing piercing shot, and then my heart of the well has 49% pierce, so I'm at 99% chance to pierce, which allows, basically when you're shooting at a pack, it allows the projectile to hit past the first guy and then get more in the center, which usually means the clear feels better. And also on single target, it seems to help the damage, which it's probably just a bug unless I'm misunderstanding something. And what else? Eventually, this is a known bug, but one issue with the armor break stuff is that explosive shot is currently consuming fully broken armor. It is a known bug, and they are working on it. Once that is solved, I will move out of these nodes and then go into these. So the fully broken armor will apply the fire damage. So this should be, assuming I have passive points for it, this should be like 20% more damage, and it's a different bucket because it's mobs taking additional damage, which I don't have any sources of. So this will be big, and then if that gets fixed, then I will try to get a jewel up here to what's it called, from nothing, to get this node, and then these guys up here. Oh, that's another thing that happened this patch too, is that you can get days on hit. Days is 50% more stun buildup, so this helps stunning bosses significantly. And then this would be a more, these are basically more multipliers for stun buildup. Yeah, that's eventual. Nothing else much changed as far as Titan. It's pretty much the exact same. This might have been 30%. Now I think it's been 50, but it's pretty irrelevant. Found out that Avatar Fire isn't really the play. For one, the stun portion, you want some physical damage because it has a better stun multiplier. If you look here, it's 50% more stun chance from physical damage. So converting all the fire is not ideal, even though it is probably arguably maybe slightly more damage, but it's kind of weird. I think what's happening is because the order of operations is, you would look at Avatar Fire and says, hey, it converts 75% of damage, and this has 30% fizz to fire, so like I'd convert this and that'd be all fire. But what seems to happen is this takes 75% of explosive shot and gets rid of the physical portion, and then the rest of that skill then gets the 30% conversion applied to it, so it seems to be just negative 25% damage. But depending on the mob you're fighting and everything, having the fire pen supports and everything apply, maybe it pans out to be slightly more, but I don't think it's worth it, plus the passive points. Another thing that got added was this node, which is basically huge, 25% more damage. This guy over here, so we got 36. It's a lot of fire damage. What else got introduced? Oh, right, this support got added. Before it was just auto reload, I think it was the support gem. And now it comes with an additional bolt, which is great for exactly what this build wants to do. Some new support gems for some of these. Not really too relevant. Scaling the presence radius on my character a bit to make the radius for overwhelming presence a little bit better. So it's pretty big. It's not as big. Ideally, it'd be off the screen, so everything's getting this stun multiplier. Because this is a big deal for how easy something is to stun when you're not in range of something. It is really obvious. So getting this to hit as much stuff as possible is ideal. However, it's pretty hard to do. There's not much of this available that's easily pat to. Again, if I get this anoint, there's a couple more nodes in here. Ideally, I wouldn't have any of this spec because this is just like I would just prefer something else. But yep, that helps. And then a weapon swap trees not requiring another item to use and them being instant uh, is huge for grenades. So on the grenade swap, essentially I get out of this node because I don't need. They're already going to be armor broken before I swap to shooting my grenades, and then I come over here get +1 cooldown, +1 projectile. The cooldown is a little wacky, so if you go like this, and when you're staging the boss, because it's still on weapon set 2, because I pressed the cannon, I get 4 shots of grenades, which, and then as soon as I shoot again with crossbow, or explosive shot, it goes down to 3. So this does work when you want it to, you just got to be mindful. I think, oh, the covered, this helmet is the deepest tower at home. It's pretty popular this league, right, because it's strong. Most people aren't using it on Titan, but on Titan some of these nodes are pretty wild. 37 attack damage for the smalls, 45% increased armor, so that's 90. You count as surrounded all the time, by the way, with the helmet. 20 attack speed and 2.5% life regen. This node does nothing for my build, I just have to path through it. And over here you get armor, attack damage, attack damage, attack damage, movement speed, dodge roll, and more attack damage. You could take these nodes if you wanted to. I'm strapped for points. I'm level 96 and I still have things I want to get, and I feels like the tension of the build for passive points is insane. I'd really not I really don't want to have these. Maybe I can figure out some solution to drop these, because attack speed's not really the most. It's quality of life more so than damage. What else? Oh, this movement speed cluster got added, which is great. So this 24, what is this, 24, 30, 35% less effective slowing debuffs, and then you ignore your movement speed from your armor, and then over here just movement speed, movement speed, movement speed, and then mutant maim and hinder. This is huge quality of life on top of this node, and then just movement speed on the boots. You do run quite fast. It feels really, really nice. Depending on what you're doing, you can actually run faster than a Deadeye sometimes if they're on their mount, unless they're like giga geared. Because they also, when you use a crossbow, if you just tap it real quick, you generally don't face the movement speed penalty as much. First, if you hold it down like this, it's really obvious. But if you just tap it, run a gun, you'll outrun a Deadeye. Like, it's not even close. Especially on the Roa. Unless I have, again, crazy, crazy gear. It is an RT build. RT got changed. It's kind of worse, but it's still fine. Important thing is just got accuracy rolls on the rings. You don't need these roll ranges. I was playing all the way up to 95 without accuracy on the rings, and this was still fine. This just the only thing that's difference is chance to hit on 9 yards or 9 meters away was 86%, and then getting the rings with accuracy rolls as prefixes. This bumped it up to 100, which does help. Ideally, if you could drop rarity, you could get fizz damage on the rings or fire, but like when the crossbow does 1,000 LED DPS, adding 30 damage on your rings is really not meaningful. What else? Charms got better because of how easy they are to access. Future plans would be hopefully 2 socket ones of these with double attack speed. Double attack speed would let me drop this cluster probably. The Wall of the Wilds over here. Get these nodes. This guy. If they fix armor break. Come in here and path through this. Would be ideal. But they have to fix it first. So you get, if they fix armor break and figure out the points, so that's 15, 15, 30. So that's 26% more physical and fire damage taken by the mob, and then if the Law of the Wilds node or I get that, then there's another 15% up here. So yeah, that'd be almost 30% more damage. Really, really good. I think that covers it. Again, mostly just, oh, the really end game would be getting a fire flower amulet because of the way armor works now with deflecting. Um, when I have scavenge plating up, this is roughly 16k armor first fizz and versus like almost 30k armor for elemental. But what that translates into with fire flower is like the 100 something ignite damage when you hit something is basically ignored. So you just get a +6 amulet with some spirit, which would be nice. Another idea is a +4 sanctified amulet with spirit on it, and then trying to maybe path in here to grab these nodes for life regen, then run rage, or I'm sorry, berserk, which I think is like 70% effective, 67% effective rage. So that's like, that'd be like another 37 or 38% more damage. But the problem with that is like you do want some life regen. You don't want to just like break even because you're gonna run through degens, and having 2.4k life, like you will notice the degens if you don't have any life regen. So maybe. It also just depends like how crazy expensive things are. But yeah, character is probably my all-time favorite ARPG build I've ever played. I've been playing this shit since 2012, and it feels like I'm playing a shotgun build inside of a game, and I'm blasting through doors. It's super satisfying to play. I would highly recommend checking it out. Um, you can play this build as Titan on League Start. I've done it in the past. This time I had Twink gear by the time I got to it, but uh, in general, when you play it from the League Start, you take Crushing Blows first, and when you get your Cruel Lab, you unspec out of this into the small passes, which gives you Giga AoE and all the jazz, all the good nodes. Um, Even early, you can spec into this node, and like you'll just have so much damage it won't matter. So it is playable from League Start. Doesn't take much to get going, especially with how easy things are to craft now. Um, so yeah, build is probably an A tier. I'm sure there's some S tier builds like the crossbow lich and stuff. It just doesn't have the same capabilities, but for what it is and its uniqueness, um, I'd say it's a pretty good build. Highly recommend. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you later.